and we go straight from David Fleshman, and I got to get to Cody Worsham here as Cody's got an 8 o'clock meeting, but I got to tap into somebody at LSU just to see what the feeling around the building is this morning with so much big news happening. Remember, Johnson Spillers is our dentist here on the Jordy Culotta Show. I'll be in there at 10:30 this morning. I've passed the deadline of finding an excuse to get out of this thing. So I'm going to the dentist this morning, and I will have my front tooth extracted and replaced.
Please live stream it.
By Dr. Spillers.
Is there a worse weekend to have it done before?
I don't know if there is. I don't know if there is. But you know what? This is my fault. I've kicked the can and I've pushed it back, and now here we are.
It's a future you problem, but now you've met your maker.
This is not going to affect your holiday.
I don't know. Pulling a tooth and putting it, that seems like a big deal.
It does seem like a big deal, especially the front one.
Yeah, I mean that's how
Spillers.
That's how you chomp a dog.
Johnson Spillers. Let's get to Cody Worsham here, as Worsham up at LSU. Yes, sir. Good morning. How are you? We're live.
Oh, wonderful. Up late last night, up early this morning, but we're going to roll.
Yes, indeed. We just hung up with David Fleshman, local attorney.
Yeah, listen. Great talk.
And he was just talking about the wide open space of what NIL is. You are sitting in college offices this morning on a major campus with big-time student athletes. What's the feeling from y'all side this morning going into a monumental day?
I think it depends on who you ask. If you ask me, the Stratcom guy who gets to brand all this stuff, I'm excited. I'm excited for our student athletes. I'm excited for our institution because I think we're going to do this better than anybody. I think our compliance folks and administration, they've been working on this for a very long time, a year. They have all the pieces in place. They are as prepared as anybody could be. But it's sort of like, walking into a big test that you've been studying for. There's probably some anxiety and nerves, but I don't think anybody's more prepared than us. Stephanie Rimp, her leadership, Scott Woodward empowering everyone underneath them to get this done. Our compliance team, they've been killing it. So we've got a great plan. And I was listening to David. David obviously bringing some expertise to the table. And, a lot of the points that he brought up, I think, are things we're thinking about, considering, and have a plan for.
You guys have really embraced it, and just watching the social media, I looked at even the avatar for LSU football this morning is the logo of NILSU, of really embracing this. What has been the message behind the scenes, or what has been the feeling in the executive order on today, and just gearing up for name, image, and likeness?
Yeah, I think everyone here is excited. LSU and kind of the message behind NILSU, and you're going to see some more content roll out. You mentioned the avatars and all the profile pictures. Some of you may have seen the billboard in Times Square last night that kind of teasing it. NILSU, what's the deal? I think you'll find out what the deal is today with NILSU. But I think it's about the fact that LSU has always branded and promoted its student athletes better than anybody in the country, from Pistol Pete to Shaquille O'Neal to the Honey Badger. Yesterday, Darren Rovell, who I try not to cite Darren Rovell too much, but he put out a very nice story on the top 20 athletes in the country for NIL, and 3 of them were LSU students, and 2 of them were in the top 3. So Olivia Dunn being obviously the highlight there. So it's exciting from that component, because we've always branded our student athletes well. We embrace that realness, that authenticity. We don't want our athletes to come here and fade into the a crimson army, if you will, and just kind of blend in with their surroundings. We want them to come in and stick out, stand out, and be as bold as we are. We've always tried to empower that, and so I think that's what NIL is going to be about for us. It's going to be about continuing to tell our athletes stories and doing the best job that we can of that, and doing it better than anybody in the country. And then, for our compliance folks, giving our student athletes the best possible resources to navigate all those problems that y'all were just talking about. If you get approached at dinner at a restaurant, how do you handle it? Part of the bill that David was going over is institutions are required to do 5 hours of education before the student athlete's first and third year. And I would guess we're going to do a lot more than that education-wise. I think our compliance team has a lot of tools in place. Our partnership with Altius has been huge. Casey Schwab over there worked with the NFLPA. He knows this stuff better than anybody. And so basically anytime we have a question, we call him. And we're going to have tools in place that student athletes can just pull up an app on their phone get in touch with compliance or Casey or Altius or whoever and make sure that they're fully informed, knowing what they're doing, making sure not only are they going to get some money for their name, image, and likeness, but make sure they get in deals that are beneficial for them and aren't just, short-term boosts, things that are good for them long-term and things that they're not getting exploited and taken advantage of by businesses, that they're actually forming good partnerships that are beneficial for both sides.
Cody, you mentioned Livy Dunn, and she's the only NCAA student athlete with over 3 million TikTok followers and over 1 million Instagram followers. Sharif O'Neal was the other one within the top 3 that was recognized from LSU. Is it fair to ask you on the administrative side, like what the ceiling is for athletes like this? I mean, how do you view them when now they are viewed as a commodity?
Yeah, I think it goes to the marketplace, and it's interesting because I think there's a lot of excitement around this because it's new and it's novel. I think as time goes on, the market will be what the market is, and so there's going to be athletes like Livy and Sharif who have huge social media followings. That now what this does is this treats them like any other student on campus. Like if Olivia just was a regular student majoring in chemistry at LSU and didn't ever suit up for the gymnastics team, she could already be making money on social media. And so today it just levels the playing field for her. Same for Sharif. So they now get the same opportunities as any other student, and they'll get the same market exposure as any other student. If you've got, 1 million or 2 million or 3 million, and some agency wants to do a deal with you, then that's probably going to be about the same for what it is for, not to sound like like I'm younger than I am, but like an Addison Rae on TikTok or a Charlie D'Amelio, like these big TikTok personalities, they're already making money. And so it just now gives Olivia and Sharif and Derek Stingley and all our great athletes here the opportunity to make that. But, and I heard David talking about this too. I think it's really going to affect, everyone. And it could help. We had a beach volleyball player last year. We did a panel in January with Dylan Cruz and Olivia Dunn and Sharif. And we had a beach volleyball player who was talking about, hey, I want to start a clothing business while I'm at LSU and use this platform to sell my clothes. Can I do that? And as far as we understand it under NIL rules, absolutely. So it's gonna help obviously the top with the huge social media followings, but it's gonna help the person who's been able to use their platform here at LSU to leverage some public exposure and start their own business or get a free meal or whatever. It's gonna be great for everybody, I think.
Is there? We're obviously in uncharted waters with the name, image, and likeness. Is there an avenue for like a big business like an Allstate, like a huge firm to come in and drop, I don't know, an ungodly amount of money on the table for somebody? And is there a way that would maybe make the NCAA get involved again where they'd have to come like, look, this is too much, too fast. You can't be giving people $1 million to come do one spot or something like that. Is there a way that you see the NCAA coming back into the fold a little bit?
I think where the NCAA would get involved, and I'm not a compliance guy, so take this with a grain of salt. I think where they would get involved is if you start seeing deals that aren't at market value. If it's absurd, if it's just money and then you actually don't do anything, or it's money that you wouldn't pay someone else. But I think for the most part, what you saw with the Alston ruling, and again, I'm not a lawyer. The guy that just spoke before me, David Fleshman, knows a lot more about this. But with the Alston ruling, with what the NCAA put out recently about NIL. I think for the most part, the ball's in the court of the student athlete. And as long as you're not seeing egregious, something ridiculously over the top, obvious boosterism or pay for play, pay for performance type stuff that's just really, really obvious, I think that might draw the attention. But I think everything else is basically in play. And really what it does is it just puts a market on somewhere there wasn't a market before. And, the laws of economics now come into play. And if somebody thinks that, the quarterback X is super valuable and they want to give him money to promote their business, then that's now in play where it wasn't before. I do think there's a little bit of overexcitement with some of it. For example, I don't know that that an LSU student athlete could necessarily sell a product in Birmingham, Alabama. So if you're talking about like national brands, it's going to have to be the elite of the elite. But really locally, I think it's a game changer, and you're going to allow, you're going to see, the starting quarterback or the star gymnast be able to get some things before that they weren't able to.
All right, Cody, last one. I'll get you out of here. I know you got a busy day that starts off here in a couple of minutes. You had a chance to sit down with Jay Johnson new head baseball coach, as Cody is the strategic communications director and digital media over at LSU. He also hosts Tigers Win, Boot Up, and Hey Fightin' podcast, and he sat down with Jay Johnson, new baseball coach, on Tigers Win. What were your initial thoughts of LSU's new guy?
Man, he's all work and he's all business. You know, I was talking to his wife, Maureen, throughout the week, trying to pry her for information. Hey, give me an interesting tidbit about Jay that has nothing to do with baseball. She was like, everything that Jay does is about baseball. Like, I wish I could give you something, but there's not much there. So it's true. Like, he's just a baseball dude. The best story that I have is he was supposed to fly in, I think, on Sunday and fly out Tuesday, and then just do his whole press conference thing on Monday. He decided to fly in a day early, and he decided to stay for the whole week because he wants to get to work and get recruits and keep guys and start building the staff. I mean, he's got a lot of work to do, and so rather than go back to Tucson, he said, I'm going to stay here in Baton Rouge and get work done. And I don't know, maybe he ends up just staying here and not going and get his stuff. Like, maybe he just leaves his stuff behind and starts new. He strikes me as a bit of a minimalist that probably doesn't have that much stuff anyway that's not in his office. So, but he's all baseball, he's all business, he's modern, he's innovative. He's got a very, very clear philosophy, and I think he's got a great plan to train the mental skills and psychological skills of the players, where it's not about being fearful of the big moment. It's about being prepared for the big moment and be able to deliver in that big moment. And that preparation starts now, which is great. And so when they get in those big moments next May and June, they'll be ready for them.
I promise this is the last one. I'm sorry for making you late. How much does NIL come into recruiting, both in recruiting coming into school and retaining your roster, recruiting them back?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a huge piece. Now, again, there's going to be rules that you have to follow there. I don't think you can tell a player, hey, come here and we'll get you this deal, because, in fact, schools can't be involved in the deal process at all. But I think where it comes into recruiting and getting guys back is, hey, like when you're at LSU, take a college baseball player, for example. When you're a star freshman like Dylan Cruz at LSU, your brand value is a lot higher than if you're on a minor league team in Albuquerque or whatever. Right. And your facilities are better, and your meals are better, and your training is better, and your travel is better. And so now it levels the playing field a little bit there, where you can the thing that was restricted of them before, they could sign a multi-million-dollar signing bonus, or they could come to college. Well, now they can sign a big NIL deal, and that offsets what they would have made as a bonus. And now they can come be at LSU and be a student athlete, which is a great experience anyway. They can go eat in our nutrition center. They can train in the Marucci Performance Center, which is better than any minor league facility in the country. And it really opens the door for that opportunity. So, and the same applies for, deciding to come back. Hey, do I want to take a chance and be a 6th or 7th round pick and have to grind my way on a practice squad? Or maybe I can stay. I can do an NIL deal, which wasn't there before. I can still make some money and provide for myself and my family. And be a star at LSU, which is a lot better, in my opinion, than grinding it out on a practice squad and maybe being on a roster, maybe not, and then you can improve your stock and invest in your future that way. So I think it's going to empower student athletes. That's the biggest thing for us, is we're all about student athletes having a world-class experience. This is going to enhance their experience, and it's going to make it fun for everybody.
Subscribe to the podcast. Tigers Win, Boot Up, Hey Fightin' podcast. Keep up with him on Twitter at Cody Worsham. He is strategic communications over at LSU and digital media, and what I expect to be a very busy day. Thank you for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Yeah, man. There is Cody Worsham checking in this morning here.